All right, so this course is created for macOS users intently. That being said, you can still do all of this on the Windows machine. You just need to figure out the equivalent. And if you don't know exactly what to do, if you have questions and you only have a Windows machine, that's fine. I'll help you figure that out. Just make sure to write it in a comment below, and I'll your exact question, and I'll make sure to answer you promptly and figure it out so you can continue to follow along. But I believe in you too. With the power of ChatGPT or Grok, any of the free AI tools, you should be able to figure this out. But don't get discouraged to ask a question if you can't. Seriously, like, ask me anything. There's no stupid question. So, cool. So the first things that we do need to do, since we are using Python, is go into our terminal within our macOS system and type in which Python, and make sure, which Python 3, and make sure to be out of any virtual environment that you may have created already for your project folder. So you see here, it's opt homebrew bin Python 3. That's perfect. It's exactly what we want. Next, you want to make sure that we are, okay, so if you don't see that, make sure you brew install Python, okay? And hit enter. I've already done it. I don't need to do it again. Next, you want to make sure that you have the most updated version of OPENSSL. So brew install OPENSSL. Great. So after you hit enter on both of those commands, it will download everything that you need, well, for this step to make this project run successfully. All right, next, so make sure you get VS Code installed. Now this runs on both Windows and Mac, so there should be no problem here. Just go to vscode.com or type in VS Code into Google and click the first link. You should be greeted with this download page. It should default to whatever system you're using. I'm using a Mac, so go ahead and click download for Mac OS. And once you download it, if you're on a Mac, I don't know exactly how it works for Windows, but I know if you are on a Mac, when you download the DMG file, double click it, install it as you normally do with any other program. For whatever reason, it didn't give me that little GUI window to transfer over to the applications folder. Make sure that you manually drag that extracted VS Code application from the downloads folder into the applications folder, and then open VS Code from the applications folder. There will be some weirdness with how it works if you don't do this. So make sure to do this. It will save you a headache down the line. I've created a GitHub repository for this project. So all you got to do is git clone the entire repo and then check out the starter branch. I'm going to walk you through that right now. So go ahead and open up your terminal like so, and go into maybe your documents. For me, I'm in a folder called test. So we can just, I believe it's just git clone and then the HTTPS link that links to my repo. And that's all you need to do is copy and paste that in there. I'll put it in the description down below so you can just copy and paste it into your terminal and press enter. So we can go into our terminal, make sure we have copied it, paste it, and go. So if we ls, now we see the financial portfolio manager is there. If we cd into it, we should see the folder structure. Now you should be able to do git checkout starter. And if you do git branch, you should see the different branches that exist. So go ahead and click, let me show you what I'm looking at. Git checkout starter, just like that. So back in the terminal, git checkout starter, branch starter, setup, track, origin starter, switch to new branch starter. Good news. So now if we go to git branch, we should see main and starter. So starter is where ground zero is, so we can all start in the same place. And main is going to be the branch that I'm going to add to. So if you want to see the fully functioned application and have all the bells and whistles, then go to the main branch. And I might have some other branches down the line as I see fit, but right now we're just going to keep it real simple. Starter and main. Cool. So now you're on the starter branch. You have access to main, and you have successfully cloned the project for your study. All right, so next step, quick shorthand. If you go into your terminal, you can hit Command K, and it will clear all of the text from your terminal console, which is a great way to just kind of start fresh, get a clean terminal. So the next step, what we're going to do is create our virtual environment. Since we're using Python, we're going to do it Python 3-m vim. So all of these steps, I'm going to do my best to put them in the description below and document everything appropriately. So I'm just going to copy and paste this right into the terminal. Make sure that you can see what I'm doing. Turn the terminal back on. Perfect. Python. Boom. Vim. Great. So now it is created. As we can see, if we ls, we can see our virtual environment created. So now we just have to activate it. So if we go back into ChatGPT here, source, bin, activate. Wonderful. Let's just go and copy that real quick. Oh, look, and it has the Windows way to do it too. Awesome. It's great. I'll go back in the terminal, copy it right in, paste it right in. Boom. So now our virtual environment is activated. This is really good to keep everything condensed into this one project folder. So it's not spilling out into the global scope of your entire computer. This can help a lot, and this is a great way to dodge headaches down the line when you have your global scope clogged up with a lot of different things. So great. So now we have our virtual environment set up. Let's go back into ChatGPT. What does it say? Okay, we're going to install the requirements. So all of the requirements are listed in the text file, the requirements.txt. So I've provided that for y'all within the starter branch. Woohoo. So now go ahead and copy and paste the pip install -r requirements.txt right into our virtual environment setup terminal. Boom, pip install it, and you see the matrix. Things are starting to happen. You're installing things that you need to run this program. Wonderful. So we've got, okay, it says pip has an update. So yeah, we can just go ahead and listen to what it says to do. You know, if you ever need to upgrade pip, never a bad idea. So go ahead and upgrade pip by just following that. Just pip install -- upgrade pip, which we did. Boom. So now you're upgraded. You've got the requirements installed, and you're ready to go to the next step. All right. The next and final step before we move on to actually running the starter branch, we need to upgrade Yahoo Finance. So let's do that really quickly. Go into our terminal and let me find pip install -- upgrade Y Finance. So you can just go ahead and run that. And then at that point, we can list and see what is here. So we see main.py. Go ahead and Python main.py. So this will run the program. Awesome. So it says enter your name. I'm going to put my name, Cody. I'm going to use the suggested assets, Apple, Google, and Spy. Wonderful. Looks like the fetch worked through Yahoo Finance. We'll enter the weights of, let's do 50% in Apple, maybe 30% in Google, and, 20% is left. So 0.2 for Spy. We'll put a risk tolerance of 7. And the wealth accumulation or retirement, we'll do wealth accumulation since I am not yet ready for retirement. Great. Okay, the fetch successfully sent through. The report was generated successfully. So now if we ls, we see that we have the style exposure, cumulative returns, heat map PNG. You may have seen those from before. Well, it just overwrote the ones that we had previously from the starter branch from a previous run. So now what we can do is code dot. Okay, remember when I told you to open VS Code from the applications folder? This is where that gets a bit important. So you might have to manually open VS Code. For now, this is how you can do it through the terminal. So once you do code dot, VS Code will pop up exactly where you are in the file systems within your Finder window. So, see here, let's get out of that. Let's zoom in a bit, make sure that you can see this pretty well. Okay, it seems big enough. Awesome. So here you are within VS Code. If the code space dot command did not work, go ahead and open VS Code manually by clicking on the application within the applications folder, and then do the command Shift P. So you're going to hold the keys Command, Shift, and P. And then this will pop up here. You might have to type in code or path, or maybe code path, something like that. And then you'll want to click this shell command, install code command and path. I've already done it. I don't need to. But you would click this, and that would allow you to use the code space dot to open VS Code within any directory that you are currently in within your terminal. It's super cool, super fast, super easy, and I highly recommend making this a part of your path. Okay, awesome. So now you've done it. You've successfully ran the starter branch program. We can see this really interesting correlation heat map, PNG, Apple to SPY, Google to SPY, SPY to SPY. Of course, it's one because it's the same asset, but this is how Apple performed to SPY. So I guess Apple to Apple, right? Apple to Apple is 1-to-1. Apple to Google was 63%, and 77 is 5. So yeah, it's kind of difficult for me personally to even read this. And this is code that was created by Grok and ChatGPT. This is something that I'm going to change, but this was a really good starter point for me. A huge success to see this go through. We got a Monte Carlo simulation, return visualization, cumulative returns. This is probably the easiest one to read out of them all. Very straightforward. This is SPY, the orange line, and the blue line is the portfolio as a whole. So you could see the portfolio did quite a bit better than SPY did in returns, but had a very similar shape, which is also kind of interesting. So yeah, this is also kind of interesting, the risk gauge. So the portfolio risk score is sitting right in the middle, maybe just above the 50% mark, and our tolerance is at the 70% mark. So we are within our tolerance range. So I would say this would be all right. And I'd also say that maybe we could be a bit more risky with our investment if it'd be an interesting experiment. Sorry, words, right? Cool. Well, this is the style exposure. This is 100% income base. Again, it's difficult for me to read this. So we are going to be changing things along the way together and making the application better and better as time goes. So yeah, congratulations, y'all. You just ran the starter branch. You installed Python. You installed the dependencies. You got pip activated. There's a lot of things that we've learned today. In this lesson in particular, you've cloned your GitHub repo for the first time, potentially ever. And, well, congratulations. Let's move on to the next step.